everyone. Can you hear me? Please have a seat. First of all, apologize.
Buongiorno,
Probably
buongiorno a
already.
tutti.
There's been
Mi
like a
sentite?
delay, not in this session, but in the
Innanzitutto
plenary
mi scuso
session. So
perché
there will
c'è
be
stato un
like
ritardo nella
40
sessione
minutes,
plenaria
1 hour delay.
e quindi ci
They
sarà un
invited us to
ritardo
start right
totale
now.
tra i
So even
40
if not
minuti e
everyone
l'ora. Ci
is
hanno chiesto
joining the
di
room, we will start
iniziare
anyway.
anche
And
se ancora non sono
please
arrivati tutti, però
give us
inizieremo perché
just
se no si
few
fa troppo
minutes. And then
ritardo.
in the
Quindi vi
meantime,
chiedo
to save
qualche
time,
minuto
I
di
would like,
pazienza e
if
poi per
you
risparmiare
like
un
to
po' di
join
tempo
me directly on the chair,
chiederei
and then we
ai
will
nostri
start the
relatori di
presentation
venire
in just
direttamente
few minutes.
sul palco così possiamo iniziare.
Okay. Well, I guess we can start.
Bene, direi che
Well,
possiamo
again,
iniziare.
welcome everyone. Thank you very much
Ancora una
for
volta,
being here
grazie a
today.
tutti e grazie
Today
di essere qui.
we are going to present European Smart
Oggi siamo
Tourism
qui
Network.
per rappresentare
What
una
is
rete
the
di
European Smart
turismo
Tourism
europeo
Network?
intelligente. Che
Let's say
cos'è?
that under the European Commission, under
Beh,
the Smart Tourism umbrella, they
sotto
want,
l'ombrello
in order to,
del
let's say,
turismo
improve
intelligente, la
the
Commissione
accessibility, to
europea
build the
ha
accessibility and the
cercato di introdurre
sustainability in the
programmi
smart
che
tourism in
migliorano
Europe,
l'accessibilità e la
to
sostenibilità del
award
turismo
two
in
competition.
Europa.
The first one is the European
E
Smart
sono state
Tourism
lanciate due iniziative, una
Award,
che
and the
è
second
il
one is the
premio europeo
European
del turismo
Green
intelligente e la
Power
seconda che è
dedicated to a different
chiamata
approach. There
una
are
prospettiva di turismo verde.
The prize is aiming mainly for categories. The first category is
Il
accessibility.
premio
The second
consta di
category
4 categorie:
is
accessibilità,
sustainability. The third one is
sostenibilità,
the digitalization. And the fourth one
digitalizzazione
is
e
the cultural heritage and creativity. The aim,
età,
the reason why the European Commission wanted
creatività
to
e cultura.
promote, to
Una delle
implement these
ragioni per cui la
activity
Commissione
is,
ha
of course,
deciso di
to have a
promuovere queste
network
attività
of
era proprio quello
destination,
di
a model
creare
of
una
destination
rete
in
di
Europe that
mete
can, let's say,
moderne che
improve, create a
potessero
network into
migliorare e
accessibility
creare
in
appunto
all
una rete
Europe.
di
How does it
accessibilità in tutta
work?
Europa.
The
Come
prize is
funziona questo
organized having
premio,
a panel
questa
of
gara?
expert hired
C'è
and selected by
un
the European
insieme di
Commission,
esperti selezionati
aiming
dalla
to,
Commissione
based on the subscription, the activity
che
that some cities and destinations
valutano
give,
le
then the panel will
presentazioni
evaluate,
e
we
le
create
candidature che sono
the
state
European
inviate
Smart Tourism
e si
Network,
crea una
meaning
rete
that all the
europea di
information given,
turismo
all the network
intelligente,
created will be
ovvero
part, and then you can
tutte le
exchange
reti e tutte le
information.
informazioni che sono
Once
state trasmesse fanno parte di questa
the
rete.
expert will give
Una
a
volta che
solution
gli
to,
esperti
let's say,
hanno valutato tutte
for
queste
each
informazioni
destination, this destination
e
will
tutte
become part
queste
of this network
queste
permanently
destinazioni
in the year
entrano a
after.
far
So
parte
again,
della
the two
rete.
competition
Quindi
are the European Capital of the Smart Tourism
ci sono
and, I'm
due
sorry if I didn't
gare,
specify in the
la
proper way
capitale
earlier,
europea del
European Green
turismo
Pioneer of Smart Tourism.
sostenibile e poi dice il
Then,
relatore, prima non
once
l'ho
the
specificata
destination
bene, è la
are
rete
created
europea
this
delle destinazioni
network,
verdi.
the aim
Una
is to
volta
continue to contribute,
create
giving
queste reti continuano
better
comunque a
accessible smart
contribuire
tourism in Europe.
e a
What we do
rendere il
today,
turismo più
we are
accessibile e
talking
più
about
sostenibile
smart
in Europa.
accessibility, of course. This is the
Oggi
context.
chiaramente siamo qui per
And
parlare
of
di
course we are going to
accessibilità
have a focus on the
intelligente, che è
4
il tema
cities
di
that have
questa
been
sessione. Ci
awarded in
concentriamo
the
sulle
past
4
years.
città che
Then
hanno
I
ricevuto
close
il
my
premio di questa rete
introduction
negli
and then I
ultimi
give you the
anni.
word to the 4
Dopodiché io,
cities. Just a brief summary. The
dopo
4
questa
cities
breve
are
introduzione,
Torino, which is the
passo la parola alle città.
2025
Abbiamo
European
tra le
Capital
città
of Smart
Torino,
Tourism. Then there
capitale del
is
turismo intelligente
Benidorm, which is the
2025,
2025
Benidorm,
European Green
che è stata
Pioneer
la
of Smart
capitale
Tourism.
pioniera
Then there
verde
is
del
Breda, which
2025,
was the
poi
winner
Breda,
of the 2020
che ha
European Smart
vinto
Tourism Competition in
la
the category of
competizione dei gemelli
accessibility.
europei
As we
intelligenti
said
nel
earlier, it will be
2025. Come
a
dicevo
winner also
prima,
for each category. And
ci
then we will have
sono varie
Venice,
categorie
that
di
has been
premio e poi
shortlisted
c'è
for the
Venezia, che
2022
invece è stata
European
selezionata
Capital
nel
of Smart
2022
Tourism.
come
So let's
capitale
start with Torino.
europea del
I
turismo
present
intelligente.
Francesco
Iniziamo con
Tresso,
Torino, io do la
and
parola
the
a
name, the
Francesco
title of the
Tresso
presentation
e
is
il titolo
Green and Blue
della
Infrastructure
sua
for All.
presentazione è
Torino again
Infrastruttura
was
verde
its actual
per
capital,
e
European
blu per
capital of
tutti.
smart
Torino è
tourism.
stata la capitale europea
Francesco
del
Tresso,
turismo
very briefly
intelligente.
presenting
Francesco
you,
europeo.
then the floor will be yours.
Francesco
He is a
Tresso,
councillor,
scusate,
is
è
assessore
un
of the city
assessore
of
della
Turin,
città di
with
Torino
activity related to public green,
che
to
si
parks,
occupa di
to
verdi
the
pubblici,
rivers and the city protection.
fiumi, parchi
taking
e
care of the
tutela
emergencies. So it's
della
important
città,
role in
nonché
this field.
delle
Then
emergenze che
he
possono
was also a city
sopravvenire.
councillor,
È
consigliere
stato
comunale,
anche
starting
consigliere
2016
comunale
up to
dal
2021. As a
2016 al
profession, he is an
2021,
engineer,
è
and
un
before
ingegnere di
having his
professione
career in the politics, he was also
e
taking care
oltre
of
al suo impegno politico si è
in his own
sempre
profession, taking
occupato
care of hydraulic system as well
anche
as
di
international
sistemi
cooperation.
idraulici.
So the floor is yours, and please
Prego, alla
describe the
parola
actual project that Torino, actual European Capital of Smart Tourism in
per
Turin,
vedere
presenti.
quale è la complessità di quello
Thank you.
che dovrebbe
Good morning,
diventare
everybody.
un
Buongiorno,
sistema
scusate, io
First of all,
sento
welcome in Turin.
un'altra
I
voce
am
che
very
parla
honored to be
sopra.
here and
assieme
to represent the town of Turin.
Ci sono
I'm
due canali che
deputy
si
manager in charge
intrecciano,
of
scusate.
city care department, green
nostre
areas, parks
strategie
and
e
rivers, as
soluzioni.
you say before. And in fact, I prepare my presentation. I would like to
Buongiorno,
show you
ho una
how
presentazione
Torino,
che ho
which
preparato e vorrei
lies in a
mostrarvi.
very
È
rich
quella che
heritage
è
of
Torino, che raccoglie una eredità di verde di lunga storia. Non si sente più nessun tipo di audio, gli interpreti si scusano, ma è saltato completamente l'audio.
reserves and parks around Torino. The majority of them
La maggior parte
are
dei
along
parchi
the courses of the rivers.
dell'area di Torino
Città delle acque, the town of the
waters, viene chiamata una città verde, ma anche una città delle acque, perché è una città che è attraversata da 4 fiumi, il Sangone, la zona riparia, sono poi tutti gli affluenti che rappresentano un po' anche il collegamento tra Torino e l'area e le montagne che la circondano, perché la città è una città che è in qualche modo già interessante per i turisti, perché è circondata da queste bellissime montagne. E quindi ci sono questi colori, questo verde e blu che si ripropongono. Come vedete sulla slide, le aree verdi a Torino sono tante, sono diffuse, non soltanto i grandi parchi, ma anche i piccoli parchi cittadini in ogni quartiere. E sulla destra, vedete a destra del Po, vedete le colline, le langhe, che sono sicuramente un'attrazione interessantissima per i turisti, ma anche per i cittadini, perché sono molto molto vicine alla città.
Also in terms of data, Torino has a very
Per presentare alcuni dati, Torino ha degli ottimi dati rispetto alla percentuale di aree verdi e abitanti, ovvero ogni abitante ha a disposizione più o meno 40 km quadrati di aree verdi, moltissimi alberi. Torino è conosciuta per queste strade circondate con alberi, e anche per i tanti spazi verdi, 22 metri quadrati, e anche per gli orti urbani. Quindi
consent that all these green areas were really accessible for all.
Come far sì che queste aree verdi, tutto questo verde sia accessibile per tutti. Abbiamo iniziato nel 2021 approvando un piano strategico infrastrutturale verde, che è un piano che vuole indirizzare gli investimenti e la buona gestione verso le aree verdi. E poi abbiamo approvato anche il piano della resilienza climatica nel 2020, l'anno prima, ed è un piano che stabilisce alcuni principi fondamentali, come il fatto che tutte le aree verdi devono essere accessibili, e sono stati proposti alcuni esempi pratici, ad esempio come concepire una nuova area verde oppure un parco giochi, considerando gli strumenti, i pagamenti, i finanziamenti e così via. Un altro accento che è stato posto è stato quello relativo all'accessibilità di ogni area, il che significa capire anche quante aree abbiamo e quanto queste sono vicine a ogni quartiere e come si arriva ad ogni quartiere. Qui vedete alcuni esempi.
We carried out just last year that were, thank you to
questo è dell'anno scorso.
Plan, the financial for that European Union gave us. And we
questi sono anche dei progetti che sono stati svolti su indicazione dell'Unione Europea. Qui è un intervento che è stato realizzato in una delle aree meno verdi della città per migliorare un po' la presenza del verde, ma vedete ci sono delle rampe che sono state pensate proprio per l'accessibilità. Questo è il tipo di intervento che noi consideriamo un intervento verde e accessibile, ne abbiamo svolti tanti in giro per la città. L'anno scorso abbiamo poi concluso i lavori su 8 aree verdi innovative.
La circoscrizione is something like a municipality.
Una per ogni circoscrizione, che è una sorta di comune all'interno del comune, no? Torino, se volete, ha 8 circoscrizioni. Abbiamo, insieme alle circoscrizioni locali, scelto le aree, abbiamo installato dei nuovi parchi giochi, adottando il criterio dell'uso dell'acqua, come vedete in questa foto, che è anch'esso importante perché con il cambiamento climatico ci permette di dare un po' di refrigerio, no? A tutti coloro che soffrono purtroppo il calore durante l'estate, e anche questi sono tutti completamente accessibili perché sono stati usati i materiali corretti per la pavimentazione, per le strade che portano al parco e per l'accesso.
Also on the right you see
che senti due audio.
Playground we realized in these new innovation areas.
Poi, come vedete,
tolgo l'originale.
Slides
sto sentendo.
Majority of cases are accessible for
questo è l'originale
italiano.
Scusate, ma i tecnici stanno parlando sul canale del Flori, io sento due audio.
Iconic intervention we did last year.
Poi l'intervento più importante probabilmente che è stato svolto l'anno scorso è il nuovo Parco Valentino, che è un parco nel centro della città ed è uno dei parchi più storici, iconici di Torino.
And also is the design of the park started in the 19th century.
È un parco che è stato concepito all'inizio del XIX secolo
the major intervention is to install there
e qui si sta cercando di modernizzarlo. L'idea era quello di inserire la biblioteca municipale, ma inserirla in un contesto verde. Quindi e cercare di far sì che questo fosse totalmente accessibile. Quindi abbiamo cercato di rimuovere, abbiamo rimosso 55.000 metri quadrati di cemento, che sono una quantità enorme, un po' come 15 campi da calcio, proprio per far respirare la terra, ma abbiamo cercato poi di sostituirlo con un cemento permeabile che garantisce l'accessibilità, ma garantisce anche il rispetto della natura. E questa è la nuova biblioteca che è stata realizzata con tutte le aree esterne. Il prossimo anno, nel 2026, dovrebbe venire completato tutto il lavoro, perché comunque abbiamo tutta una scadenza di finanziamenti. Questo era quello che era il parco prima, quest'area che era parecchio cementata, con queste strade molto ampie, vedete, era una sezione anche in profondità di quasi 18 metri, che quindi andava a toccare quello che è il polmone naturale della città. Invece così siamo riusciti a ripristinare molto più verde, con 2 fasce laterali attorno alle strade, e anche a piantare nuovi alberi. E qui vedete il prima e il dopo l'intervento. E vedete queste lastre di cemento permeabile che rendono possibile l'accessibilità. Mi ricollego per parlare di un altro progetto che abbiamo chiamato Let's Po, che è un progetto legato al fiume, proprio per dare dell'idea di qualcosa che corre veloce. Questo titolo in inglese, e parliamo sempre della stessa zona, il Parco del Valentino, quindi all'interno della città. Abbiamo creato una nuova struttura, la nuova Darsena, lungo il fiume, la prima piazza sul fiume è Piazza Vittorio, e poi il fiume scorre per circa 7,5 km. E c'è ora un nuovo sistema di navigazione del fiume che permette di mettere in correlazione queste aree, e permette di raggiungere anche aree come musei, il museo dell'automobile o altri parchi, utilizzando questo tipo di imbarcazione completamente elettrica. Sono come dei piccoli catamarani, anche perché il comportamamento idrologico del Po lo richiede, perché comunque siamo molto vicino alla fonte, quindi volevamo un'imbarcazione molto leggera che si potesse alzare magari in un momento di piena del fiume e essere messa in sicurezza all'interno della Darsena. Sono 2 le imbarcazioni acquistate, che avranno un sistema media all'interno, sono totalmente accessibili, come vedete, sono accessibili da persone in sedia a rotelle, ed è possibile salire e navigare in sicurezza. Questo è il nuovo bacino, la nuova Darsena. Vedete il camminamento pedonale che passa attorno, che passa lungo il fiume, e anche questo è totalmente accessibile. E sono stati fatti degli studi per avere la pavimentazione più adeguata e più accessibile possibile. Questo è il lungo fiume. Qui l'idea è di creare un nuovo centro pubblico che si concentri su quelle politiche importanti per la città, che sono l'accessibilità, il verde, il blu. Questa è una parte dei Morazzi. L'idea è quella di creare uno spazio pubblico accessibile a tutti, che sia
study, maybe also
utilizzabile magari per
to work there
l'organizzazione
and
di
to
eventi,
share
per
the
lo
spaces
studio,
for public,
per delle condivisioni di spazi a scopo
meeting
pubblico,
and also for
per
improve
organizzare degli incontri
the
oppure
possibility
per
of tourist services.
migliorare le
A
possibilità e
to
l'offerta
to sell
turistica,
the ticket for the vessels, but also
ad
for
esempio,
museums
non
and so on.
so, vendere i biglietti per le
Speaking of
imbarcazioni,
another
ma anche per i
project,
musei e così
always
via.
developed
Poi c'è un
around
altro
the Po
progetto che
River,
vorrei
is the
citare, che
Sport
si
and
svolge
Environmental
sempre
Education Center
lungo
in
il
Parco del
fiume,
Mesino, which
è
is on the
questo centro
right,
per lo
at the
sport e
confluence with the
l'ambiente nel
Stura di
parco
Lanzo and the Po River, in a
che
very
viene chiamato Stura di
interesting
Lanzo,
area in
in
terms of
un'area molto
natural
molto interessante dal
resources,
punto di
because
vista
it is
naturalistico,
it
perché
belongs to
è
the
un'area
Nature
che
2000 law
appartiene,
decided
è
in the
un'area
European Union.
tutelata da Natura
It is a
2000
reserve, it is a reserve where
quindi
we
è
hope
un'area
to implement
tutelata,
the possibility to
un
practice sport
parco,
in a very
dove
soft
vogliamo
and
migliorare la possibilità
light
di praticare
matter,
degli
with
sport
a very interesting context in terms of nature.
in un
You see
contesto
that
che è molto molto
it's a very
interessante, come
wide
dicevo,
area,
vedete, è un'area
something
molto
like
ampia,
64 hectares.
parliamo di
We plant a new
64 ettari.
almost 2000 new plants, and
Abbiamo
also
piantato circa
we
2000
did a
alberi,
particular specific attention to the new
facendo
path
particolare
that
attenzione ai
we
nuovi
realize in
percorsi che sono
completely
stati
accessible
realizzati e
way,
che sono
because of
totalmente
course it's
accessibili
not
a
allowed to go
tutti,
there with car, but
perché
also
chiaramente
we
non si può arrivare con l'auto all'interno
renovate this
dell'area,
ancient farmstead, and
ed
also
è
this
stata
is
anche
completely,
restaurato questo
concept
casolare,
in accessible way.
questa villa, e
And
anche
flooding
questa
area, so we have
concepita
also to
in
transfer
modo molto sostenibile. Anche questa è
the
un'area
two-phase,
purtroppo a
the first floor,
rischio
but it should
alluvione,
be a place
quindi
where it should possible also to stay with
ci
implement the
sono
sport
state
and
privilegiate
together working with
strutture
the association
sospese
of
al
sport
primo
and
piano,
environmental,
ed è
in order to
un'area
provide
che
a
verrà
place where
dedicata agli
it's
sport
possible
e
also to practice this
all'ambiente,
kind of
e si vuole proprio proporre come
multifunction that
un'area
again can
multifunzionale,
allow us, especially
verde, che
after
può
the
essere
pandemic, is very,
utilizzata
very
per
important.
lo sport.
The
Abbiamo
green
visto dopo
areas
la
are places
pandemia
where it's
che
possible
queste
to
aree
practice
sono
sport,
molto molto
to
importanti per
practice
praticare gli
urban
sport,
gardening,
per
to
fare
do
giardinaggio
artist
urbano,
performs,
per
and
organizzare
also to meet,
eventi.
and it's very, very important also target that the green can also implement social
Ed è, secondo me,
inclusion.
importante che il
So
verde
you have some
crei
idea
un'inclusione
that
sociale.
how our parks can be used also for
Quindi
different kind of
l'idea
people,
che i nostri
but
parchi
always
possono
have
essere
the
usati
target
per
that
vari
they must be
tipi
accessible
di
for everybody.
attività, ma anche
Just to
per vari
close,
tipi
I
di
will close in a
pubblico.
very few
E
minutes.
qui
We are
vengo
working on the accessibility plan.
alla
It
fine
means
del
that
mio intervento. Stiamo lavorando
we
anche su
are
un
developing our
progetto di
plan for elimination
accessibilità.
of barriers.
Stiamo portando avanti il nostro
Unfortunately, it's
progetto per
a very old
l'eliminazione delle
law
barriere.
that
In
Torino,
Italia purtroppo abbiamo una
many other
legge
town
molto
in Italy
molto
didn't
datata,
follow it, I mean, for years. So we
e per
started last
anni non
year
si sono fatti
with
purtroppo
the
tanti
help
progressi.
of
Noi
the
l'anno
Polytechnic of
scorso,
Torino,
con l'aiuto del
dermatologist
Politecnico
established
di
the first phase of technical and administrative
Torino,
structure, the complete
abbiamo
analysis of the
iniziato
city.
ad
What does it mean?
avviare
It means
questa
that we
analisi
analyze all the categories
completa di
in
quella che è la
terms of
città,
objects
analizzando
and
tutte le
public
categorie, gli obiettivi,
public I mean places like also the walking path,
tutte
the crosswalk,
le
the non-walk
aree
barriers and so on. And
pubbliche,
then
quelle
the
che sono
planning
le
of
barriere
integration, of course,
all'accessibilità,
also
per
provide
poi arrivare
sort of
a
scheme for the
pianificare
design and
degli
implementation.
interventi
All these
per
are in
l'eliminazione di
progress.
queste barriere
We are doing the
all'accessibilità. È
survey around the town,
un
also
lavoro che
with the
sta andando
categories of the
avanti, che
different
stiamo
objects, and also
svolgendo
provide
in tutta
a
la
sort of
città,
scheme for each
e
place
per
that
ogni
we
area
analyze in
forniamo
terms of
quelli che
public
sono i
buildings,
risultati
public
della
utility and so
nostra
on. Library,
analisi.
hospital, theater,
Quindi su
sport
vari
places
oggetti,
and so on.
gli ospedali,
Also,
le
we
librerie, i
implement
cinema
this
e
kind of
così via.
walks together with
Abbiamo
people that
anche
have
promosso
some
delle camminate
disabilities
collettive
to
con
better
cittadini
understand
con disabilità,
and
proprio
also
per
to
capire
I mean
qual è il loro punto di
the
vista,
survey
dove
and
stanno le
to
difficoltà e le
provide a
barriere,
sort of census of all
e avere un po'
also
un censimento di
the things
quelle che
that are
sono
wrong, maybe for mistakes
le
in the past.
problematiche della città, magari per errori del passato, magari non so, la panchina che sta nel mezzo, la panchina che è posizionata in modo sbagliato, una pavimentazione che non si confà a chi ha un'accessibilità, proprio per trovare le soluzioni più adeguate per il futuro. Chiaramente questo lavoro viene svolto in collaborazione con le associazioni che sono sul territorio proprio per avere il sostegno e i suggerimenti di persone con disabilità che conoscono quelle che sono le difficoltà sicuramente meglio di noi. E questo è secondo me importantissimo anche dal punto di vista del turismo, chiaramente.
Thank you very much. Well, now I will continue. We'll be very fast. I ask everyone to be a little shorter. And now is the time for Laura García. Laura García, we present the title of the presentation.
Laura García,
Inclusive,
che presenta Benidorm for All. Laura è capo della comunicazione sostenibile e dell'esperienza e del marketing per i progetti europei. Si occupa di turismo accessibile. Prego, vi chiedo di rispettare i tempi di parola.
Okay. Yeah. Can I have? Thank you. Good morning everyone. Buongiorno a tutti, grazie per l'invitazione, per essere qui. Mi piace molto l'Italia, moltissimo. Well, first, please let me show you which is my city, because honestly, Benidorm is a small city, but a huge destination. I mean, because we have in 1 year almost 3 million tourists, but just we have 74,000 inhabitants. So please take account that it's not easy to manage a destination as Benidorm, because we have too many tourists, not enough inhabitants, and no economical results, because we are, at the end, we are a small city. Beginning with this point, that is really important, because without money, it's not easy to do something, but so you have to make a huge effort for that. Benidorm, even that, Benidorm has more than 90,000 places, so tourist beds. So many tourists, but even that we don't have tourismophobia, okay? Because we try to involve everyone. Let me explain you. Before talk about our accessibility, for us it's really important how we started, okay? In this point, our history started in 2018, when Benidorm has been certificated as the first smart destination in the world following the Segitur methodology. I mean, to be a smart destination, you have to follow 5 axes: innovation, technology, governance, sustainability, and of course, accessibility. In that moment, we have been certificated with these rates, this ratio. Take a look at accessibility. We realized in that moment that accessibility was the lowest rate. And we suppose that we were okay. So it was an impact for us to take account that accessibility was not so great as we expected. So in that moment, we decided to make a huge effort to take action and to improve our destination in accessible points or rates. This was before, and now this is our actual rate. That our ratio is more than 83%. So we have improved more than 20% our ratio in a couple of years. So maybe you know that you are okay because your destination is really nice because we have a 73% of mobility by foot, because you have, it's a compact destination, because Benidorm is a really compact destination with just 38 kilometers per year, and you can go by foot everywhere. Maybe you know that everybody's happy going by foot, but at the end, it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't so efficient in accessible way. So you have to manage and to monitorize your destination to take account how you are and how you can improve yourself. And it was the beginning of the history. We started to improve these indicators to be as much accessible possible. So when we take action, we started especially to create our specific strategic planning tourist accessibility. I don't have time to explain you every area, every quartier, and every point. It's open for you if you want to take a look, and I will send you if you want. But the most important thing is we create a specific tourist accessible plan, but at the end, accessible has to be also transversal. Even we have a plan, we try to involve accessibility in every plan we do. Governance and accessible and sustainability for us is completely transversal. So I'm going to give you later an example, but to do that, you have to involve all the stakeholders. So we are realize that even for me, it's a physical barrier, it's a normal one, but for other sectors or stakeholders, it's a huge difficult every day. So we decide to take in account these stakeholders, these associations, to know how to improve the destination. And we create a special council for that. But not only that, if you want to improve your destination, it's not only public services, it's just private one. So we decide to involve also our hotels. We have 140 hotels in Benidorm, 140. 90,000 beds. So without them, we can't do anything, because maybe you can come to my city to see that everything, it's no barriers, no physical barriers, everything is okay, service 100% of public transport accessible. But when you go into a hotel, it's not accessible. So what job we are doing? So we decide to involve and also to work with them. This is an example like I mentioned before. This is another plan. It's just to take an account how we involve accessible in other plan, in this case, in mobility plan. Mobility in Benidorm is quite important because our city, I told you, more than 73% of the mobility is done by foot, and we have closed the city for pedestrians or wheelchairs, okay? So we have prioritized the destination for the people. We have removed barriers, more than 40 streets in our city. It's just one platform. We have more than 10 kilometers of pedestrian areas in my city, and it's a small city, remember, 38 career. Thanks to that, we have controlled the mobility, and we've reduced significantly our accidents. So if you prioritize people that is going in a wheelchair, people with other needs, or people, or blind people, for example. They are completely priority. Now, if we focus on tourism, I'm going fast, okay? Because I think it's important just to give you an idea. It wants to be accessible, inclusive tourism. We have also created a strategic tourism accessible plan involving also the main resource. I mean, we have changed our communication. So not only Naviland QR codes, it's really important, but also specific blind maps, okay? Also acoustic signals, Braille information or information in Braille. But also we have created a specific brochure done by Predif. Predif is the most important association in accessibility ways in Spain. So they have done with us the information for this kind of segment or stakeholders or segment of people. But for me, our main, the things I'm so proud, it's our beaches. In Benidorm, we have 3 accessible beach points in the 2 big areas, because we have 2 big areas, 2 big beaches. These beaches are completely open all year round, but not only with amphibious wheelchair, but also with XXL amphibious wheelchair, an amphibious wheelchair for children, but also cranes, because sometimes people can't move themselves. So also we have a medical care for free, open all year round, and a specific service completely free for them, because they have the same drought to enjoy the beach as the rest of the people. Last year, in 2024, we had more than 18,500 users of this service. So we are really happy. It's going really well. And of course, hotels and restaurants, the information, everything. And a small example. When you are going to a city in a wheelchair and you want to see the skyline, before in Benidorm you couldn't, because you have maybe a really beautiful balcony, the white one you can see there, but people in a chair couldn't see that, couldn't see the view. So we decided to remove part of this balcony in every main resource, tourist resource, and give the opportunity to enjoy the same skyline for everyone. Of course, accessible points, everything. Other points, for example, another example in tourism ways, it's always I'm talking, our archaeological site, it's a small one, but it's in a high point in Benidorm, the geography is not really good. So we decided to not only do it accessible, but also to give electric wheelchairs for free to enjoy this point. So in the most complicated point in Benidorm, in accessible ways, we remove and we did it as much as possible. I have time for a short video of 2 minutes. Okay, let me please, I don't know how to do it. You can do it there. It's down, you have to play, because here I think, Benidorm is completely surrounded by mountains. Thanks to that, we have a microclimate, even in winter.
The possibility of finding accessible accommodation will be a decisive factor when choosing a destination. Benidorm has a large number of hotels adapted to accessibility requirements. All of them are included in Benidorm's digital hotel guide and on the Tour for All platform. The tourist information offices are accessible to everyone, with modern facilities that include a hearing room and written materials about the old town. The Poniente Promenade features an interpretive panel with raised relief and braille writing. Along its adapted route, you can enjoy the beach that surrounds the island, its towering skyscrapers, and its visitors. By entering through the narrow streets of the old town, you reach the castle area, where you can visit the Church of San Jaime and Santa Ana. The castle viewpoint, an accessible spot, has removed the balustrade to allow for a better view of the landscape. Plaza de la Hispanidad is the nerve center of Benidorm, where the spectacular Tecnolito stands out as a symbol of a modern city. The beaches of Benidorm are inclusive, with adapted access points and bathing areas, information in braille, accessible public restrooms, and parking reserved for people with reduced mobility. We also find the Biblioplaya. It is a place for reading, recreation, and services for users. The tourist bus offers a complete tour of the city and also features a mobile ramp and reserved space for wheelchairs. The Torso of the Cove, from a Roman settlement. It features an audio guide with the content from the panels and has 2 electric wheelchairs available. Mundo Mar is a park that has different species of mammals, birds, and reptiles. In addition, the foundation offers free dolphin therapy programs for children with physical or mental disabilities. Terra Natura is an animal park divided into sectors that recreate the different continents. The way its facilities are designed allows visitors to walk through the park without noticing any barriers between the animals and the visitors. We find establishments that meet accessibility criteria, restaurants with access ramps, non-slip floors, adapted restrooms, and even menus in braille. All these achievements are the result of a project that strengthens us as a smart tourist destination.
Thank you. And before finish, last but not least, thanks to this work done in these last years, Benidorm from 2018 with this smart destination certification where we are realized of everything. Thanks to that, in 2024, we have been certificated or recognized as the best destination, accessible destination in Spain. This year, we have been Green Pioneer of Smart Tourism with accessible points. But for me, the thing I love, and I think it's really important, is also we have been certificated, because you have to be evaluated for that, as the first destination to a great commitment in seniors, in elderly people, because we want to avoid AISM, because seniors, all the elderly people, is also people who need special needs. And sometimes we are talking about physical barriers, and we are not noticing that these people need other kind of needs. And we are really proud of this commitment. So I finished. Thank you very much for your attention. It was really a pleasure. And later, you have any questions, we are here for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Laura. Now we presented both the winner for 2025. Torino as winner for this year for European Smart Tourism capital, and then Benidorm being the European Green Pioneer of Smart Tourism for this year. Then we pass the word to Peter. Peter presenting Breda. Peter Horsten. Breda was the winner in 2020 for accessibility, just specific awarded for accessibility. The title of the presentation is Accessible Breda, Involving Everyone, With Everyone, For Everyone, Nothing About Us Without Us. Then a very short bio, then I pass the floor to you. Peter Horsten represents University of Breda. He's a lecturer in research at the Breda University of Applied Sciences within the domain of leisure and events, and also working on projects in the cultural sector, urban life and placemaking, and accessibility of the leisure sector. Then, Peter, the floor is yours, and you will tell us why, being you representing university, you are also representing the city in your destination, because there is a network that's very important in your city. That's it, right? Thank you. You have the microphone over there. Okay, great.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to tell something about Breda. I'm working at the university. I'm not part of the municipality or for Breda marketing, but I'm one of the, we are one of the stakeholders working a lot on all kinds of projects towards a more accessible Breda. Breda strives to be an accessible and welcoming city for everyone. You could say that Breda's course approach is to involve everyone in this journey, improving accessibility with and for everyone. Nothing about us without us refers to the principle that when it comes to accessibility, you must use experiential expertise of people with disabilities to gain the best insights and work towards the most suitable solutions. And preferably, these solutions create value for everyone, but certainly also for those who temporarily deal with disabilities and the aging population. Let's introduce Breda. Breda has a central international location in the south between big harbor cities Antwerp and Rotterdam. It is a historical city with royal roots, where the past embraces the future. Also, new and surprising combinations are constantly formed. The rivers and canals, together with the countless parks and forests that surround Breda, ensures Breda's green environment. Breda's population is welcoming and social, creating vibrant conditions for the city to establish itself as hospitable and accessible. I'd like to show a short impression video from Breda market. In the movie, the old city is shown from above. The church, the medieval houses in the center, surrounded by modern architecture, canals and green areas. They zoom in on people, on terraces and resting nearby the water. In helicopter view, you see the Castle Bouvigne, modern graffiti and new areas like at Soet and Urban Pier 15. 3 pictures are shown from the people cruising, the disability cruising through the city. Afterwards, the sentences, Breda, city of solutions and limitless, welcoming and green are shown. The journey of Breda to become a welcoming and accessible city started with the personal urgency of a hotel owner suggesting to use the revenues of the tourist tax for that. So from the beginning, entrepreneurs, but also other stakeholders in the city were closely involved. Working towards and winning prizes help to create shared ambitions and keep on track. 3 key organizations in Breda played a leading role. Breda for Everybody, bringing together the hospitality and retail businesses with the local and social organizations. Breda Equal, as a platform for people with disabilities and informal caregivers. And Breda Marketing. The close collaboration between these organizations and their underlying network has been important in enabling a broad approach in towards accessibility. Breda started with a foundation that was both condition creating and largely back office. They conducted over 800 surveys with local entrepreneurs and 200 expectations of public spaces and buildings to identify improvement. They also focused heavily on awareness through workshops and annual events like the Accessibility Week going on this week, Digital Accessibility Day, and the Captain Lunch bringing together business and NGO decision makers. Breda also trained a frontline staff like bus drivers and hospitality workers, recognizing that while perfect accessibility is challenging, feeling welcoming and receiving flexible support makes a real difference. Breda appointed an accessibility advisor to review designs and event plans and develop the digital twin technology to simulate accessibility impacts of urban planning decisions before implementation. With the awards, also the expectations of visitors raised. More visible transitions of the city and more accessible experiences were needed. That's why Breda launched an accessibility fund to encourage this. Entrepreneurs and organizations can easily get this funding. Small investment up to €1,000 require no personal contributions. So for example, you see Leonie's edible areas garden below, used the fund for a wheelchair accessible path and recently got approval for a multi-sensory experience. But also larger fees to €3,000 and with 50% co-investment is possible. The fund has already been used about 50 times, but there's still room for more initiatives. With regard to physical accessibility, a big challenge was making the historical city center accessible while preserving its character. On the main market square, they reused the traditional cobblestones, but made them smooth. Breda cleared obstacles from the train station to the Park Valkenburg to the city center and main attractions, adding blind guidelines and sensor-linked lighting for safety. Currently, 98% of the bus stops have ramps and tactile strips, with buses announcing stops both visually and audibly. For information accessibility, municipal platforms meet clear standards, and tourists with disabilities receive the same support as residents through platforms like Care for Each Other. Since reliable information is crucial for a lot of people, Breda prioritized developing useful apps. These apps are one of the 4 aspects in Breda I want to highlight now. Visiting a city requires extensive preparation for people with disabilities. The Better Accessible application provides a solution to an interactive map displaying essential facilities. The map shows locations of parking spaces, toilets, rest areas, drinking water points, and rain shelters in different colors. Users can click on locations to see details like addresses and specific facilities available. Besides the city center, also tours and events can implement this app. The second app starts from the fact that easy access to public available toilets is a basic requirement for many people to participate in city life. Together with cultural and sport institutions, restaurants, educational institutes, libraries, and so on, Breda is making a proper playlist, and play means loo in Dutch. To improve findability, Breda uses the Urgent Need app. The app shows a map with available toilets in an area, provides information about facilities and addresses, and offers routing from your current location to the toilet. All steps are shown in the screenshots. The second one, all visitors, also those with extra needs, should feel welcome and believe that the city has enough to offer to them. That's why Breda Marketing prominently showcases the accessibility tour. This is a city route past the city's most beautiful spots that has been designed with accessibility in mind for visitors in wheelchairs or those with limited mobility. At each stop, you'll learn why this place is worth a visit, what you can do or find there, and what facilities are available. Breda also hosts many events with accessibility explicitly on the agenda. Significant steps were taken when Breda hosted the Vuelta in 2022. Breda introduced the Better Accessible app then for the first time, created a 600-meter low stimulation zone without promotional caravans or sound signals, zones you now see everywhere, even at the busy Breda's Carnival Parade. Breda also installed a Braille grandstand with specialized commentators describing boat race and atmosphere, provided wheelchair accessible spots near large screens, and organized Unlimited Vuelta, a cycling event where also people with disabilities using handbikes, tandems, or wheelchairs could join. Almost all festivals now consider accessibility standard practice, using apps for reliable information, improving crowd management and emergency access, installing harder surfaces on lawns, and give attention to active participation, as in the Breda's half marathon, where the amount of sporters with a disability is booming towards 1,500 this year. And tomorrow, in the Accessibility Week, we will introduce a mobile changing room, hopefully setting a new standard for the future. As a final showcase, I'd like to highlight the intensive collaboration with education in Breda. We strongly believe accessibility can be learned, so Breda organizes a lot of activities across all educational levels. The institution I work, Breda University of Applied Science, sees creating meaningful experiences as the mission and wants to ensure everyone can access the positive values coming from that, like happiness, social contact, and personal development. With colleagues and the Breda network, I organize co-creative research and design projects at musea, city tours, sport facilities, events, and attraction parks, where students and experienced experts with cognitive and/or physical disabilities collaborate throughout the entire process, not only learning about needs and solutions, but also about how to involve others as equal partners and experiencing with them what it feels like not to be heard or not feeling welcome. Education to make future managers in the field of leisure and tourism more accessibility sensitive. Later this afternoon, there will be a session on this by one of my colleagues. For the future, it's important that we expand and improve what we're doing. I'll give some examples. In many places, we're still removing physical obstacles. Although the cobblestones have been flattened, the joints between them need attention because wheelchair users with small front wheels get stuck in them. Throughout the city, we used various designs for guidelines. We need to make this more universal. We might also install sensors in parking spaces so the app shows which ones are really available. And of course, we need to expand our range of experiences. Restoring the accessible canal tour boat with a wheelchair lift is a priority, as well as creating a multi-sensory graffiti art trail with tactile objects and scents for people with a visual disability. A key ambition is installing a public changing places toilet. The mobile one this week is a first step in that direction, and we expect to introduce a permanent one soon. At the end of my presentation, I want to return to the core statement: to be accessible for everyone, you need to do it with everyone. True accessibility requires collective responsibility. For example, even if a place is made accessible, it becomes unusable when delivery trucks block pavements or bikes obstruct blind guide strips. I mentioned Breda has a hospital social population. Gezellig is a typical Dutch word that is hard to translate. It means a warm, relaxed social atmosphere. With this attitude and awareness of other needs, it's often doable to find solutions that make everyone feel welcome. With sensitivity and willingness to listen and help, we can become accessible for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much again for this outstanding presentation. I remind to everyone that we finish with Venice. Then we will have a short, let's say, roundtable discussing on some issues. And then you will have the time for some question on your side. So now it's the turn of Venice. Well, now we are talking about some cities, some destinations. They are models. They are the best some of the best in Europe as far as accessibility in this field. It's difficult maybe to think about Venice as a model for accessibility, but even Venice, and then there will be Francesco Bortolluzzi will present Venice. And since Venice was shortlisted in 2022 as a European capital of smart tourism. So even Venice did. The title of the presentation will be Accessible Venice, a Bridge to Inclusion. Very briefly, your bio, then it's Island.
I will be very brief.
Okay, it's Francesco, he is the head of the tourism department, and he's been involved in many projects focusing on sustainable tourism, and is also developing. Also, maybe is going to tell us about an app to be implemented supporting the wheelchairs. And well, Venice is a challenge, is very challenging, I guess, for accessibility. Please tell us what you did. I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, Marco. Hi, everybody. I will be very short and please apologize for my English is very poor. I have great speakers before me. And the title is A Bridge to Inclusion. A bridge because a bridge is one of the most important famous things in Venice. And this is characterize the city that is very different of the other cities that we have seen before, like Turin, Breda, or Benidorm. First of all, I want to say that the municipality of Venice is a city that have 250,000 people, residents, a part in the historical center, and where still live 50,000 people. It's not like in the 50s, in the last century, when we have more than 100 people living in the city, but it's still a living city, a city with people that live there. It's also a huge destination of tourists, a big destination, of course. And we have an over-tourist problem. I think last year we have a small decrease of tourists, but we still have 20 million presence in Venice, 12 million of overnight tourists, and 6 million of day tripper, people that come in Venice just for one day. And the big challenge is, of course, to make it sustainable living in Venice for the resident and also for the tourist. The problem of accessibility in Venice. Of course, the city in Venice, the historical part, is a set of 100 islands connected by 400 bridges, pedestrian bridges, with always with every bridge with steps, except one. The last one we have realized between the station and the university, just one. That means that accessibility is a problem not only and not first time for the tourists, but also for the resident, especially for people that live in Venice, for a population that is older day by day. And so in the at the beginning of the century, we start with the PEBA, like we have seen in Turin, the plan for elimination of the barriers, with several interventions to facilitate the accessibility of bridges and buildings. Okay, we just have a look at the last intervention we've made in the last years. 21 handrail, small ramps, bridge ramps, ramps in school. Just for example of the difficult of the things, the ramp that you see here, like in the bridge, the first realization has been made for the marathon, just for the marathon, because we have a famous marathon that starts in the mainland and arrive in Venice. The last 2 kilometers was in Venice. And the first edition, the runners, very tired, someone go down, etc., on the bridge. So we decided to put this ramp on the last bridges before the arrival. And we have a big confrontation with the authority of the conservation of the, we call this sovrintendenza in Italy, the authority of our protection of buildings and the monuments that doesn't want this kind of ramps. Now we have a lot of ramps. We decide to stay permanently, and we have it in the most important bridges around the city. The other problem in Venice, of course, is transportation. As you know, Venice is the historical part of Venice, of course, is completely pedestrian. If you cannot walk, if you have difficult to make bridges with steps, the only way is to take the boats, the vaporetti, as we call it. We make some intervention for this to help people. I repeat, first of all, residents, but in the following also for tourists. All the water bus stops are accessible by floating walkway. Venice is subject to the tide, so we needed to have a floating walkways. We have dedicated spaces on board for wheelchair, ferry boats provided with the lifts and accessible toilets, and we have boarding and disembarking assistance. Unfortunately, the boats you can see are the same kind of boats we have for a long time. We don't have, at the moment, we are studying a different kind of boats, but at the moment we have the same kind of boats we have 50 years ago, so we just adjust the boats to the necessity of the people. This is something probably you ask why. Okay, people with wheelchair users have to pay 150 once for residents transportation is free. This is something I would like to change, but consider that for tourists the price is €9, so I think anyway it's an important discount. Another intervention has been made for the city toilet. Also here it's very difficult to find places where we can make accessible the toilets for the persons. We find now 16 toilet equipped for people with disability, 16 in the center city and 4 in the islands. And this is free of charge. This is, until now, we talk about a physical intervention. That I know it's limited, but because Venice is difficult to make something innovative, or of course, most of the intervention we have seen before are standard that we cannot apply in Venice. But we think that we can do something more for people with disabilities other than physical intervention of buildings, roads, etc. The first one is the new info point at Forte Marghera. This is something linked also to another pillar important for tourism in Venice, that is sustainability. As I said before, we suffer an over-tourism. A big part of the tourists stay in the small part of the historic center, San Marco, Rialto Bridge, and around. But Venice is a part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Venice, and its lagoon. The site, the UNESCO site, is bigger than the historical center of Venice. It is also the lagoon, the islands. It is also part of the mainland with a very interesting thing to see. One is Forte Marghera. Forte Marghera is on the border of the lagoon. You can see San Marco from there. And it was a fortress in the 19th century. It was used for defend the city or to attack the city. It depends on the French attack the Venetian and so on. From the beginning of the century, we are try to use Forte Marghera as a museum pole and a place also for citizens to stay during weekend and so on. We put here a new info point that promotes the UNESCO site, and we made it completely sustainable and accessible. Especially we have a descriptive video of Venice and its lagoon with audio and subtitles. We have a tactile models of Venice and its lagoon, and we have a tactile models of some buildings. We have three kind of famous buildings and sections, Doge Palace, Carrezzonico, and Fondaco dei Turchi, and also in Braille, English, Italian, and Braille, and a tactile model that describe how buildings are constructed in Venice. The fulcrum of the info point is a tactile model of a UNESCO site that can be touched and connected with a video mapping for a multisensorial experience. It's a video mapping that explains the history, the nature, the activities that we have in Venice and in all the site that, as I told you before, is composed also by the lagoon, the islands, and the part of the mainland. Coming back to the central city, from 2020 we create 14 wheelchairs accessible itineraries for visit Venice. We put these itineraries in our municipality platform and the website for tourists, etc. This year we have to improve this itinerary, try with the digitalization and using an app, Move In, which have been developed by a company conducted by people with disability. With this new app, we can mapping the routes and location for urban accessibility. We provide information on the barriers, on the point of interest, better identification of routes and bridges, and important also the integration with the public transportation system and the city toilet present. Last one is the project where we are developing now with the region of Veneto. Is now underway to produce. We have choose 24 points of interest in the city, and will be implemented with 60 videos in sign of language, Italian and English, complete with a subtitle and voiceover. In these 24 points, we will put a QR code, a label with a QR code. Probably will be adhesive labels. We are not sure about this. And where you can scan and start the video with in sign language, English and Italian. Thanks a lot. I'm sorry again for my poor English.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Francesco. Actually, thank you all. I did not want to, unfortunately, we are a little delayed, not because of our fault and because of the earlier session, but I didn't want to cut your time because I think it was very interesting to listen to the 4 cities. So it was planned to have like a round table. We reduce a little the round table, we do anyway, but and then we will have some very small time for some kind of question. Thanks so much to all 4 of you for the presentation. Outstanding presentation. In my view, representing organization aiming to develop accessibility all around the world, having this model is very important for other destinations and other cities. Then with this award, the European Commission is really developing a better accessibility all around the world. It's pushing the cities to invest time and money on accessibility. And that's a great result. That's the reason why the network that within the European Commission we are developing, they are developing actually because they are the protagonists, it's very good to improve accessibility. So not want to waste any time on my own speaking, I would like to make, let's say, just one question to all the speakers, and very easy because it could be also probably the answer that everyone is giving inspiration, and that's our hope, to other cities, to other destinations, to, first of all, improve accessibility, but also to participate and try to become themselves part of this network. So the question will be very easy. What was the biggest accessibility challenge that you encountered at your destination, and how did you overcome that? So if you want to start, let's use the same order we had at the beginning. Would you like Francesco to
have a microphone?
Okay, let's start with Venice then, please.
I think as you can see, as you can imagine, it's difficult to operate in Venice with I don't know if someone has some idea how to make accessible bridges and canals. Okay, I'm here. Please give me some suggestion. I think it's very difficult. So probably the big challenge is to find another way to help people with disability to visit Venice. And I don't know if AI, artificial intelligence can help us, or I don't know. I have seen some ideas from the other cities. Yeah. I think the point of the challenge for Venice is to find a different way, give more information, help people in other way, because it's very difficult to make physical intervention in the city. I think probably one thing is something that people from the mobility company are now studying. It's another kind of boat, but it's not easy because, in fact, we can use only the Grand Canal with public transportation, and the other. It's not easy to arrive all around the city, inside the city. I think this is the big challenge, the only challenge we can have.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I take the opportunity to make a question, very quick question to Francesco from Venice. I mean, is the network within your city corporate, network, stakeholder, the city, the organization, the businesses were part of this plan toward accessibility, or tell us, or the
partially
of the stakeholder?
Partially. Okay, I stop here.
You have to fight. Okay, let's move.
We have to fight. Of course, we have a collaboration with association, etc. But if you mean stakeholder like hotelery and the big industries of tourism,
was not an easy task.
It's not an easy task.
Then Peter will tell us later, after we speak at tourism, about another view, because in Breda was very important, the network. But now let's speak about tourism, if you can please answer the question.
Yeah, Marco. Well, in a few words, I can say two things. The first is most a question of approaching the team, because I told before that as Venezia, we are working our plan for elimination of the barriers, no? Yeah. Architectural barrier. It's not a question of, physically going with a pick and destroy the barriers. It's more a question of approaching this team. In fact, we prefer to speak of a plan of accessibility. And it must absolutely involve all the different departments of the town. So, the most, challenging team was how to organize the machine of the administration, like each public body, no? Torino has an administration which is sharing 4 main areas, each area has different departments. So we designed one disability manager, a very typical person is the vice general director, and for each department a specific responsible. So they have to work together, because if you have to organize an event, a concert, a public event, or if you have to design a public area like a green area or a public library, you absolutely have to have the collaboration of the different person which can in a multidisciplinary approach, work together. And speaking of a more, how we overcame some practical, aspects, some practical also difficulties in terms of make more accessible all the town. We are providing now, and we will end at the end of the year, the survey of all the road walk path of the town with the physical survey from using remote sensing and also using surveyed ground. So we are working at the digital model of the town, especially we start with the soil, with the state of the soil, in order to understand in a geographical map how are the priorities. So we have a technical support from the digital twin of the town, and we can also plan all the intervention in the first 4 or 5 years, and also to improve our balance in the specific voices that are related to overcome the barriers. So that is also, as Francesco said, the AI can also help us, because we have a overview of the town, and we can focus it in the priority that we have to overcome.
Great. Thank you very much for answering. You introduced one important them, which is where at the very beginning you said, we started with a plan. That's the essence. If I can give a tip to any kind of city that would like to apply for this kind of award, having a plan, even without physically approaching anything, is the essence, is the key approach to start to develop an accessible city. Because sometimes, several times happens that you start from something that you realize is not accessible, but if you do not have a vision, if you do not put a vision into a plan, will be very difficult to achieve, and also to include the stakeholders, because then would be very difficult to have like a total, a full destination. Because the opportunity given by the destination will be short. Actually, I give the word because I don't want to be the one to waste time, but it's a very important message to the potential appliers for this award. Then let's go to Laura. Then would you like to answer the question as well, please? I think, no, you need this.
How you structure the accessibility, we call governance. So how you govern your city involving a stakeholder, of course, it's really important, but how you measure indicators, big data. Yeah. If you don't have indicators, you don't know how you are managing your city, if you are doing well or not. So both, in our case, they are really important. And which indicators you use? This is another point of view. So, both points for us, it's really important. In the case of governance involving stakeholders, we have groups of neighborhoods. We try every month. Not always it's like this, but we try every month to have a meeting with them and specific associations. But also we are trying to involve everyone in the city. There is many people isolated in my city, in every city. So we have a really beautiful project called well, brújula, I don't know how is the translation in English, and compass, thank you, compass project to ask neighborhoods, residents to help us to detect this kind of people. We are using them, and we are also using artificial intelligence to detect them. In this project, it's a pilot and it's going really well. We have detected 31 problems with people isolated. From these 31 problems, 8, they need a special service at home, and 1, we saved his or her life. So many options to detect these neighborhoods. This is one point. And the other point about indicators, which indicators do you choose? We are working hard with the national government in a new indicator system from Segitur. It's a special organization in Spain in tourism. I'm talking about tourism. To use my indicators and to share my indicators with you, and you share your indicators with me. Because the problem of indicators sometimes is because we don't share. And we are talking about that, and we are working hard. I think this year will be, at the end, we'll arrive to this point, and the office of this service will be in Benidorm. This national service of indicators will be in Benidorm. So for us, these 2 points: governance, how you manage these governments, and indicators, how you manage these indicators.
To answer your question
please.
very shortly, is that I think that Breda is on another scale as Venice and Benidorm towards the amount of visitors, and I think that's really important for a city like Breda, that you get your visitors to be confident to come to your city. So finding reliable.
Sorry, Peter, they tell me it's not very clear to them if you can use this one.
I have a mic.
He has a mic.
Okay, for them, okay.
No, it's fine. I think I understood it was not. Are you okay with that? It's fine then.
Okay,
apologize.
They didn't tell me, sorry. Okay. Do I have to start over? So for Breda, it's on a smaller scale of towards the amount of visitors. It's really important that I think that potential visitors have the confidence to come to your city. So the big challenge was also how you get reliable information where you really can trust on, because a lot of people having disabilities really have to be have the confidence that it's really good arranged. So I think the apps with the basic facilities really clearly shown on that for a visiting of the city or of visiting of an event was, I think, the most important step to take.
Okay. Well, I think I have the microphone. Let's. I don't. Since we are already running a little late, we started late again because it's not our fault. And we have some time, and I would like actually to ask to you if you have any question, if you like anything to ask to anyone of the panelists here. And then I also would need the support of someone. Please bring in. I will do it. Can you give me this one? Okay, that's multitask. Bye. Please.
Thank you for your
presentation. Please state your name as well. Your
yes, my name is Ryan Smith. I'm from Australia. I have a consultancy on accessible tourism called the Access Agency. It was wonderful to hear the profile and the journey that you're going on, that everybody's going on, all in different ways, all aiming to achieve the same thing. My question is, the connectivity that we're seeing and the technology that's involved, in managing visitors and visitation, particularly when it comes to over-tourism and dispersal. So we have this technology that can be live data, if you like, but there's also a crossover with privacy. So how do we get visitors to enjoy the best parts at the right time, but maintain that level of privacy?
Okay, to whom you direct this question? To all of them? Anyone? Anyone was feeling confident in answering to this question? Did you get? Okay, you do. Please.
Huge question.
Yeah.
In our case, we have, because we are a mass tourism destination, not over tourism, it's different. So how we manage that with technology? Our case, we have different projects. One is the Wi-Fi, where we can monitorize the movements with the connection of the tourists, even residents. But you can have this information. We don't want it. Just we can know where you are from. I mean, Australia, enough. And if you are male or female, okay? Honestly, if you want to have this information, you can. Paying, okay? But we don't want. This is one of the projects to monitor, because we have free Wi-Fi in beaches. And thanks to these services, we can monitor who is, for example, congestions in many points, at what time, if we need to clean this area or not. This is really useful. Other is with the camera. We have count cameras at the entrance of the beaches, because our beaches are the main areas. But these cameras, I can't look your face. I just see people movement, but I can identify no one. So this is really important as well, because I say that because we work with many data. We have a small office and we manage this data. In our case, in the case of cameras, the other kind of cameras, because we have special sensors in the low emission zones. We have cameras in low emission zones to count numbers of cars as going on or outside the city. Also for bicycles, because we have 140 kilometers of cycling paths. But we have another sensors, specific cameras, monitored just for the police. The unique cameras where we can see you is just monitored for the police. Just in case of something happens, we have to ask them and to make a specific commitment to have this information. I think I have answered your question. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Anyone else? Of course. Please, Francesco.
We collect a lot of data. We have also a relationship with a mobile company. We have camera to count people, of course, without identify person and so on. But I think the European legislation is very strictly. And and I think that the private company have more details of every one of us. And I'm not very I'm not a problem with the data we collect. We collect a lot, but of course, we destroy all the personal data after 24 hours and so on. I think the problem is the private sector that know everything about us.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Torino is not a problem over tourism in some ways, not Venice. But I can just, not my duty in terms of tourism, but I am responsible as civil protection. For example, during events like concert, we use camera and also drone to monitoring the square. For example, last Christmas, we organized a very huge concert with about 50,000 people in a square. And of course, this camera don't allow to recognize the person, but it's very important, for example, for a big event, that we have the map of the square and also the movement of the crowd, because we have some security plan that allow maybe 2 persons each square meter. If for some reason, if the displacement of the people in the square become different, because some people concentrated in a specific area, you have immediately to intervene. And so it's quite useful also the using of camera and drone in this case. But of course, there are post-processing data that huge, that I mean, don't allow to recognize the people, and also just to have the idea of the whole crowd in the square.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, I guess we are really out of time, but we started late. So I believe we have one very quick, fast question. If you have Otherwise, we can close the session because otherwise we will have people running out of food. Any question? Yes, one. I run again to you. Please be fast, even easy one, so they can answer in a very short time. Please state your name and organization.
Mohamed Arida Kabsi, professor from University of Quebec at Montreal in Canada.
Okay. Too fast.
Well, sorry. Very quick question. In almost the presentation, we saw the focus on the physical accessibility. And I want to know if there is adjustment about people living with cognitive disability, like intellectual cognition or autism.
Okay. Okay, Peter, thanks for answering.
Maybe it looks like that I talked a lot about physical accessibility, but what I told about the projects we do, later on there's a presentation of that by my colleague who's also sitting here, is that we work a lot with people with intellectual disability, because especially talking about doing research and design in, for example, musea or all other kind of attraction, talking of overstimulation, but also talking of getting it communication understandable. We do that a lot. And to give an example, we recently went to a museum. And what you see, there's maybe also a short connection towards the fact that we worked a lot with entrepreneurs and organizations that often they don't start from the beginning with experienced experts. And experienced experts can be people with physical disabilities, but also with intellectual disabilities. And what we saw is that, for example, this museum, and we saw it twice, is that they started to build something, an exhibition for the average person. And later on, they're going to add this and add that and add that for all kinds of special groups. But that's the wrong way around. They had to start from the beginning by letting people with all kinds of disabilities already help in designing a more universal exhibition. So to answer your question, yes, we do a lot, and especially for students in higher education, it's really interesting that in our projects they have to work with them as equal partners from the beginning. So also in the design of the research, we ask them, okay, what do you need to contribute to the research for the customer journey? What do you need in our approach, maybe, but to change? Yeah, so it's not that we learn our students that you have to do research and customer journey research like this, but if you're going to work with that specific group with intellectual disabilities, you have to talk with them and make them comfortable. So we work with duos, we use smileys, we do all other kind of small adjustments to make them feel welcome also as a research partner. Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, really, I'm sorry I cannot ask anyone to make another question. I think I hope that everyone found very interesting this panel. It's an inspiration, I guess, for all the other city and destination. Here you have the best, some of the best, because the network is very extensive, some of the best experience. So they put on the table something that can really make a difference. And I hope that someone in the room can catch this opportunity to spread the voice of accessibility, and also the opportunity maybe to consider the European Capital of Smart Tourism as a way to develop within your own city, or as if you are a stakeholder, because anyone, even a single individual, is a stakeholder, to push your own city to be part of this network. I believe that the good part of this network is then they can benefit from each other. You saw many differences, different cities, different approach, different kind of tourism. Each one has a peculiarity. Each one is surely very good in something. The others can learn from other experience. And it's usually, always actually, much easier than starting to invent the wheel again. A kind of network like this can put experience and knowledge as a common ground. And then I close. I thank you very much for everything, for your attention, and I wish you a good day and a good continuing for the event. Thank you. Thank you very much. Questo Andiamo a loro. Dacci un po' un video